Another adventure. We've had quite a few lately. I'm with Drew and Katie and the prettiest girl in the whole world who's here from Vegas. And we are going to swap some plants at the Old Mill Hazelwood Brewery. Is that what it is?
I think so.
Yeah.
Brew pub.
Brew pub.
I think it's called the brew pub. I can do it.
This is a little onion sprout that was in there. I noticed little rogue tomatoes that are popping up in these rudbeckias.
So when do you get to see her? This summer, most likely.
That's where we're going. Where's Bean?
She's on the stairs.
She's carrying the tray of plants.
This is heavy. It's getting heavy.
You want me to carry it?
I got it up here now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll take
I'm
it.
slamming this on you.
I know that we can go back to the car. That's fucking works.
Drew looked out, he goes, there's a guy with the camera. I was like, I know him.
Jess Bigley, nice to
Drew.
meet you.
Hi.
Hi, it's
I'm
Katie.
Katie.
Well, I didn't know.
I'll do we'll do the wrong hand.
Those are hummingbird poppies.
What are they?
They're like more cut flowers. They're really
I'm Jason Rowland, organically Rowland. I have about a 16-ish acre homestead here in Lexington. Grow for 2 CSAs, restaurants, all that good stuff.
Checking out.
Well, we shot very little footage. We gave away a lot of plants. We got a little chilly.
Yes, very chilly.
And now we are headed home. These things always go this way. I don't get very much footage, but it was really awesome. And I'll tell you more about it when we're not by this loud food truck. All right, guys, it's evening. So you might have noticed this. In the attempt to get in the hang of making daily content, I've been grabbing my camera and filming little clips and bits of little instances and activities and chores and then just throwing them all together, and sometimes you're seeing bits of multiple days. I'm almost done with all that footage, putting it together. Hopefully it'll be a little more cohesive. But I just got done editing the footage from the plant swap, and I wanted to walk out here, take a quick look in the greenhouse, and talk to you a little bit about that. I also just wanted to be outside at golden hour because, I mean, wouldn't you want to be outside at golden hour on this lovely farm? There's some sort of jets doing drills over the farm this last few days. It's so loud, but really neat to watch. So our dear friends Luke and Melissa raked up a ton of leaves from their yard and bagged them and let us have them. Because when you're building compost, stuff like that, told you it's loud. Because when you're building compost, stuff like that is so valuable to have. And I just want to say, get you friends that give you their leaves. That's love right there. Hey, you can have my leaves I raked up and put in bags. The greenhouse is fully open today because it was 82 degrees today, which is like 27 degrees Celsius. Can you even with this space? I'm just completely enamored by it. All right, so let's talk about community efforts in building like garden community. The Friends of Lexington Library group did this event this weekend at the Old Mill Hazelwood Brew Pub. That was in Lexington, South Carolina. And I saw it on Instagram. My friend Jesse, who we ran into there, he and his wife, Chastity, have a YouTube channel called Willowbrook Homestead. They're local here. We met them when we were moving to the area because they had their YouTube channel and reached out to us, and we ended up getting connected and becoming friends with them. And actually, they are in our most recent episode of Wilder Still. If you've never heard me talk about this, we have a show that's on Abundance Plus, which is the streaming service that Justin Rhodes started for all homestead content. And you can actually sign up for a membership to that streaming service and get access to a lot of content, including our show Wilder Still. And the new episode for it came out yesterday. So if you do have a membership, make sure you go check it out. And if not, you can check out the link below where you can sign up for a membership. And Jesse and Chastity, who are in the first part of this video, were in that episode of While They're Still, where we were talking about community. And it's kind of funny because this vlog, I had this little chunk of footage from the other day, and I really wanted to talk to you guys about building community. So when I started gardening, I didn't know a lot of gardeners. That was not a big part of my social circle. We went to church, we were in ministry, and I would say most of the people that we were in ministry with were not growing any food whatsoever or have any interest in growing food. It was kind of a conflict for us at the time because I was so fascinated in it, and I would try to talk to people about it and their eyes would just kind of glaze over because they just did not relate to my enthusiasm. And I remember, this has been over 10 years ago. Yeah, I mean, like upwards of like 13 years ago, where I was like really starting to get interested in this and really wishing that I could connect with anybody, somebody, over the desire to grow food, the desire to garden, the desire to have a homestead. And, you know, I was doing like small gardening efforts. I was foraging. I was like shopping locally. I was learning how to use my kitchen and really like turning my waiting room into a classroom. But I was craving community. And there was a restaurant in North Little Rock. This is obviously when we lived in Arkansas. And there was this restaurant there called The Root. And they did like community stuff. And they did a community potluck where they like provided the meat and everybody brought sides. And I remember like using these heirloom tomatoes, cherry tomatoes that I had bought at the store, bought at the market, and I had put in the like handful that I'd grown in a little pot on my patio and made like a salad with these and took it in. And I remember talking to all these people, and there were other people there who were interested in growing food, and I was so craving that just getting to talk to those people was just like a balm for my soul. I look back, you know, you always look back and go, I wish I had done this differently. In the early years of me desiring that community, you want to know why I didn't start something, why I didn't post a flyer saying seed swap at the library, why I wasn't the one who stepped out and made a gardening group or a meet up with for coffee at a local coffee house and trade seeds or trade plants. I didn't do that because I didn't think I was qualified, because I did not have the experience of a gardener or a homesteader to be the person that stepped out and said, let's do this. And let me tell you, from the other side, like from now being the person who people look to create these kinds of events, you don't have to be. You don't have to be the expert to organize the seed swap. Whoever needs that little permission slip, here it is. Like, you don't have to be the expert to be the person that organizes the community point. Since then, I've been to amazing like seed swaps at libraries, at breweries, at local ice cream shops, plant sales, craft swaps, recipe swaps, homemade hand good trades, where people just we live in the edge of social media, where people just put a flyer out on social media and started asking people to share it, to go all around and say, hey, I'm getting some people together, bring seeds if you want to trade. If you don't have any seeds, just come, I'll have extra. And what inevitably happens is when somebody provides an avenue for community to develop, it does. Because we're all craving community. It is just such a basic human necessity to have people that you can connect with. And now, because I realize the value of these things, I really try to go to plant sales and seed swaps, and basically the things that I see that are creating places for people to connect and build community, I want to be there if at all possible. And I'm busy and I don't get to go to all of them, but when I can, I do. Because the second thing is, when it comes to building community, one, you don't have to be an expert to be the person that starts organizing things, but two, if you want to see a change in a culture, you have to be willing to get behind the people who are doing something, because we're not always going to be able to be the one that does all the organizing, but if somebody does, like, get behind it. It's so important. Right now, I just imagine how many more people would garden if there was some way that they could connect with gardeners. Just having somebody that they could ask questions, having somebody that they could come over and maybe shadow. Like, I know that come July, many of you are going to would be really thankful for some help in your garden. Well, there's some new gardener out there that is so intimidated to start, but if they can come just pull weeds in your garden and tie up plants in your garden with you while you talk to them and share your knowledge and trade for the hands-on experience, they would do that. But the way you find those people is at these community events. And so I want to encourage you guys. I was at this plant swap. It was a really sweet event, and I had put in a video last week that I was going to be there, and several of you showed up and brought gifts and plants and all of that, and I'm so thankful for that. But more than anything, I'm just thankful to get to connect with this community, and I'm seeing people connect with each other and meeting local growers. But I also see new gardeners who are just getting started in this, and just being able to connect to these people's social media accounts where they could shoot them a question. That's very valuable. The thing is, guys, is that like gardening has a learning curve, requires hard work, but it's not rocket science. Plants want to grow. They are designed to grow. They want to grow. The biggest hurdle in gardening is 1, getting started, and 2, not quitting when it's hard. And to me, one of the biggest insurances against giving up before you start or after is the people who are doing it with you. And that doesn't necessarily just mean your spouse or your best friend or anything like that. I can tell you I would not be the gardener that I am without the community on the other side of this camera. The amount of people who have cheered me on and asked me questions and given me advice and helped me troubleshoot and helped me solve problems. When my YouTube channel took off, I was still... I was not an expert. I'm still not an expert. I'm still very much a student, but I was doing a lot of stuff for the first time and very transparent about that. I've never done this before. I've never dug these potatoes before. I've never grown it like this before. I'm trying a new thing and constantly like sharing that. But it was because of the community that I became the gardener that I am. And if we could get behind community efforts, and if we would be bold to start community efforts, we could genuinely grow so many new gardeners. And then my mind goes off into that romantic place that it sometimes goes, where I think, what would the world be like if backyard gardening was the norm? What would the cultural level right now, where you see all these headlines saying food shortages and all this stuff, and so many people are freaked out and food prices are going up and like all this stuff, but what would that hit like if it was very normal that most everybody had backyard gardens? And I know that that's extreme. I know that that's romantic. And yes, I live life with rose-colored glasses, and I'm not going to take them off. But I can't help but wonder that. And when I think of big changes that I would like to see happen, I think of little ways, like what's the next small step that we can do? Book the extra room at the library. Put a flyer out on social media. Have a seed swap and say, hey, this is just a community event. Do a plant swap. There were so many people the other day that had just brought clippings off of their pothos houseplants and things like how Will has started all of those chestnut seeds, turning into chestnut trees. People bring their extras. I mean, the stuff that you scoop 500 seeds out of a melon this year, bring them and trade them. There's so much abundance in gardening that if the people who are even just 1 or 2 years in, you don't have to be an expert. Just get behind the people who are willing to do something. But let's build a community around gardening, and let's just get romantic about it. Because, how different could things be in 10 years from now if this caught in this exponential degree? See, it's the light in the greenhouse. It just makes me so optimistic. Oh, and it's right on I'll put this in a vlog later in case anybody misses it. But I am actually going to be speaking and doing like a Q&A panel at the Lexington Library on May 14th. It's a Saturday, so it's about a month from now. I'll share more information coming up and get the information out there. But if you find Lexington Public Library on social media, or the Friends of Lexington Library, they're getting the flyer together and all that. But here's the early heads up if you want to go ahead and put it on your calendar, because I too am going to do what I can to build community. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today, the other day, all the days that you do. I bless you. Until next time.